channel. Paris. Spoiler alert, I am obsessed with it. So in the past few videos, I've been sharing the different adventures that I've gone on in Europe with my mom and brother. We just went for 2 weeks and it was so much fun. I already posted our adventures in Germany and then also our adventures in south of France, where we also touched into Italy and Monaco briefly. But basically those trips were so much fun. I would recommend jumping over those channels if you're interested in visiting either of those areas. And now in this video, we're in our final section of going to Paris. Paris has been somewhere I'd always wanted to go. I always thought I would love the style and architecture and design of it. And again, spoiler alert, I did. I loved it, and I am so excited to recap it and share it in this kind of video diary. This video will recap our 5 days in Paris and show all the details along the way. If you have any questions on our days there or you want any recommendations based on this, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what you've done if you've been to Paris and what I should do the next time I go there, and let's get into it. We arrive in Paris mid-afternoon and take the train from the airport into the city. I was immediately obsessed with the buildings and the beautiful architecture and the energy that you could feel in Paris. We were pretty hungry, so we stopped by a local bakery that my brother had discovered, and it was just highly recommended. So we got one of their famous breads to go and took it to the hotel to get checked in. We were able to drop off our luggage there and get quickly ready for our Seine river tour. This was something that was kind of an impulse decision on our end. Tickets were pretty cheap and it was available as a first come, first served basis, and something that my mom and brother had never done. Both of them had already been to Paris one time before. It was, of course, my first time. So this was something none of us had done, and it was just a cool way to experience Paris quickly. My brother would be leaving the next day, so this was just a chance for him to see all the major sites again and just get a quick dose of Paris. It was, like I said, nice to see all the major landmarks such as Notre Dame and the Eiffel Tower, of course, and just be along the river. We were able to get the lay of the land by doing this as well. The one major downside of this is that it was extremely packed. Every single seat was taken up and it was very loud and busy with all of the passengers on the boat. Once we were done with that, we returned back to our hotel to get ready for dinner. I was obsessed with our hotel. It was gorgeous. It had a spiral staircase. It had unique artwork. It had this boutique style and feel, and it was completed with a window overlooking the street, which I was just obsessed with. We then headed out to dinner and got ready for day 2. The next morning, my brother was headed out on a flight home, so it was just my mom and me. We didn't have much planned for the day. We just wanted to walk around and go to some of the major sites, so we decided to visit the Arc de Triomphe first. We walked from there to a lunch spot along the river where I had a croque madame and my mom had a croque monsieur, and they were both very delicious, one of my favorite meals I had on this trip. After that, we headed to the Museum d'Orsay, which was in an old train station. It was honestly my favorite part of Paris, or one of them. It was way up there, so that's a bit of a spoiler, but it was just absolutely gorgeous. We didn't have to pre-purchase our tickets. It worked out that we could just walk up and purchase them day of, and we saw some really great art pieces. A couple of my favorite artists, such as Henri Matisse, with his water lilies paintings, were there, and Vincent van Gogh had many pieces here, such as 2 of his self-portraits and a version of Starry Night as well. So all of that was extremely exciting for me to see.
Pull me in, draw me close, I wanna hear your heartbeat.
Afterwards, we went and stopped by the Shakespeare and Company bookstore.
I wanna feel your breath on my cheek.
I On day 3, we began our morning at the most beautiful Starbucks I had ever been into. I mean, just look at that crown molding. Then we were headed to Versailles. Versailles was particularly special to me because it was something I had studied so much in an art history class in college, so I was really excited to see it. Getting there was a bit of a travel. The main train was down, so we had to take 3 different trains to get there. We did pre purchase our tickets, so luckily that allowed us to skip a few giant lines. The place overall is enormous, way bigger than I can even explain. It was so large and you could spend days and days here. It was also extremely packed, so you had to move in through it pretty slowly. I would highly recommend going on off season, of course, if you can, or at the very start of the day. Overall, it was extremely beautiful with all of the unique details and the different touches throughout the whole entire space. We ended up booking a tour as well for the king's private apartment. This allowed us to go into areas that are otherwise roped off, and we had a special tour guide. By this point, though, we were pretty exhausted. There aren't many places to sit when you are going throughout the palace, so it's pretty tiring, and there's so many people and so much walking.
Enormous, instantaneous.
On the way to the train station, we stopped at a cute book and antique store to see what was for sale, and then we headed home for some much needed rest. On day 4, we started it with a slow breakfast. I had a really great, refreshing, freshly squeezed orange juice, and we had some pastries. It was very delicious and relaxing. And then we decided to do some shopping in the area. We went to the Lafayette Galleries, which was absolutely stunning. The overall building of it was massive. There was a few buildings that were named after it, and the ceiling was just incredible. It's definitely a sight to see, but just so you know, if you are going shopping here, it's just mostly designer items, so make sure you are prepared for that as well. We didn't end up purchasing anything from these locations, but we had fun looking around and seeing the space, of course. Towards the end of the day, we were headed to a wine tasting. This was something my mom really wanted to do, which I was very, very pleasantly surprised by. It was overall a really cool experience. It was a small, intimate group, and it was really nice to get to talk to other people that were visiting Paris at the same time as us. For our final full day, we were headed to the Louvre, which I was really excited to go and experience. I mean, how could you come to Paris and not go there? But of course, it was extremely packed as well. Everything within it was really beautiful, and it was cool to, of course, see the Mona Lisa in person. But we didn't spend too much time there because, again, it was pretty tiring after days and days of walking. So we were ready for some lunch where we went to a local coffee shop. We actually had stopped by it briefly on one of the other days to grab a coffee quickly, and we loved it so much that we wanted to come back and sit for a full lunch. So we did that, and then we finished our afternoon at the catacombs. The catacombs was something that my mom and I both didn't necessarily love the experience of. It was really cool to go to and just have had the experience to be there, but it was of course, very small space underground, and I'm not sure if I would do it again, but again, I'm glad I did it the one time.
What'd you think of it?
Are we done?
Overall, it was really cool to have been there, and then we just decided that we should get an afternoon drink and snack break. Once we wrapped up there, we headed back to the hotel to pack up for our early flight home. And that wraps up our trip. One thing with traveling, I feel like you see just all of these beautiful overviews and sights of it. Something to note is that it was very hot. Just traveling in the summer in general, it was very crowded. So I was ready to come home at the end of this. I did love Paris. I think it would have been fun to be able to live and work there. I think that would be an amazing time, but at this point I was ready to come back and no longer be living in a suitcase, come home, see my boyfriend, my friends, my family, and get back to work. So it was a great trip. I'm so grateful that I was able to do it, and it's something I'm always going to remember with my mom and brother. Overall, thank you so much for watching. I had so much bringing along and sharing and recapping my time in traveling in Europe this summer. I can't wait to go back, but that's it for now, and I will see you in my next videos. If you like brand and design or like behind the scenes into my life as well, I share all kinds of videos around that. So stick around, subscribe, and like this video if you liked it. And I will see you next time.